Well, good morning, everyone. I want to welcome here to the fire station for the Tempe Fire Medical Rescue Department here in the great city of Tempe. It's an incredibly sad day for all of us here in the city of Tempe. Um, Obviously, there's so much that can be said about Captain Kyle Brayer and his great service to this community. He's a valued community member, uh, a supporter of this community for all public safety. It's so important to recognize the accomplishments that Kyle has done in his 34 years of life. And with that being said, he's just been a tremendous asset. So many words can be described to talk about this young gentleman and what he has accomplished. As a 10-year veteran of the Tempe Fire Medical Rescue Department, Kyle was very instrumental in helping support the Veterans Telemedicine program within the city of Tempe for all veterans. His dedication to his country as a Marine is second to none. As a firefighter, is second to none in the service to this community. Kyle will be greatly missed in the Tempe family and the Tempe community and all his brothers and sisters with the Tempe Fire Medical Rescue Department. Our thoughts and condolences are with Kyle's family, and we make sure that we're continuing to succeed in his service and spirit of service to the community of Tempe and to all the veterans with the program that he started. At this time, I would like to ask the Chief if you'd like to say a few words. This is Chief Greg Reese.
As Mayor Mitchell said, thank you so much for being here today, and thank you so much for giving us another opportunity to honor our brother, Captain Kyle Brayer. I really don't have much more to say than has already been written. You'll hear more about him, I'm sure, through the posts and through the people that you've communicated with and will communicate with. The stuff that has been written is honest. It's from the heart, and it's who he is. I can only tell you that the stuff you're reading on the paper is who he is. He was introduced to me before he came to the fire service. A friend of mine told me he has a young man that would fit perfectly into the fire service, into our mission, into what we do for our communities. He told me his background. He was an athlete, a high-achieving athlete, elite athlete. He was committed to his country. He knew that he wanted to serve as a U.S. Marine, and he did, with honors. The gentleman rose in his short time in the ranks in the Marines, did some amazing stuff there. And after that, I don't think, he went out and he was an entrepreneur. He was very successful with that and still wanted to serve. And when he was introduced to me, I knew right away if I could give him some help along with many others and give him the direction he needed, that he would be an unbelievable asset to any fire department in the valley. We were fortunate enough to have him land here. He did so much in his very, very short time with us. He didn't stop. In 10 years, Kyle was able to get his paramedic certification. He was able to go to hazmat school, TRT school, technical rescue school. He promoted to engineer, top of the list, first test. And in our profession, at the 10-year mark, to say that he was coming up on his third year as a captain is unremarkable. It's just unbelievable. We have lost not only an unbelievable member of this department, but this community, this valley, this country has lost a real hero. So with that, I thank you again. And if you have any questions, we'll open it up.
Again, our thoughts and condolences go with Kyle Brayer and his family and the family of the Tempe Fire Medical Rescue. His spirit of service to our community will never be forgotten and will only continue for generations to come for the telemedicine program, but more importantly as a human being and as someone that really understands to give back to the community and what it means to serve. So we thank Kyle for the legacy that he's leaving on for the telemedicine program for the veterans in our community. And again, this is a very sad day on behalf of the city of Tempe, Vice Mayor Robin Arredondo Savage, and the entire Tempe City Council. We thank you for being here, and thank you.
Yes, Kyle, obviously leaving the Marines, he never left the Marines. His heart was with the Marines. In speaking to his father and being close to his family since the early morning hours of yesterday, his father asked two things of me, and that was, or of us, that was to honor him as a Marine and honor him as a firefighter. And he had an opportunity in life, as you alluded to connect those two dots. He was able to, through his time in our medical services section, he was able to build we had a program called the Patient Advocate Services, and you could read about it online, but he was able to connect the dot. He knew the veterans, which he had a big heart for, they needed some further assistance, and he had a way to work with a program that had already been established. He took it to the next level, and he was able to connect our agency with the veterans here in Tempe and get the right resources for them to ensure that through the Veterans Administration, they have predictable outcomes. And so he was able to work with the Veterans Administration, find high-risk veterans, get them the help they need to prevent bad things from happening. Well, again, I'll go back to somebody that I respected and thought a great deal of, had told me, if you can help this guy, he's going to be a great firefighter and he'd be a great Tempe Fire Medical Rescue employee. And I can tell you, over the past 10 years, he hasn't let us down. His accomplishments as the mayor alluded to, in 34 years, this amazing man accomplished a great deal, both on and off duty, and have the ability to connect those dots. His two passions, how many people get to do that? So. It's fire chief's nightmare. You don't want to lose any member, whether it's in the line of duty or off duty. They're a family member. And when I received the phone call 2:30 to 3 in the morning and when we set out on what is going to be a very long and tiring and challenging journey for the members of this department. This is the second one in a short period of time for us. These are family members. How do you get over the loss of a loved one? How do you get over the loss of a family member? A third of their life is spent in that building together, running on calls. The connection we have, it's set a tailspin that, we're going to get above it. We're going to rise above this. We're going to get through this. But it's difficult to lose a family member. We move forward in so many different ways. Everybody has a different way to heal, but we have resources. We have a lot of resources, from the union to the city, to just watching over each other. We really, really preach watching over each other. What they do day in and day out for the community and the things they see, sometimes it's really hard to comprehend what these men and women see day in and day out. And then to have to respond on their own as the Scottsdale firefighters who knew Kyle, and the Scottsdale police officers who knew it was a public safety family member, and then our members to have to get that phone call, wake up to that information, receive that information, and process it. Everybody's going to do it differently, but we have a lot of resources, and we're going to continue to ask our members to utilize those resources. I don't know. I spoke with him Thursday night, and we played phone tag Thursday throughout the day, and he finally called me Thursday night. And what I'd tell him this: don't call me chief. That's the Marine in him. You're Chief. And I'd tell him Greg, and he'd say Chief, and he always said Chief. Probably the one thing I said to him over and over was, don't call me Chief. But I talked to him Thursday night. I cherished that phone call. It was business, but it turned into a little personal, and I cherished that phone call. And so I'll keep that to me, that phone call and the things I said, but I'll always have that. Yeah, we're working on that now. The details we will share the details. We're still in the very early stages, but there will be opportunities for the public. When we get the information, we'll make that available. I don't know the extent of his combat, but he was in Iraq, yes.
Again, thank you for being here. Let's continue to cherish the memory and the spirit of service and the life of a Captain Kyle Brayer. Thank you very much for coming.